Conscription is one of the most important aspects of South Korea's national defense system. Since the end of the Korean War in 1953, the country has faced an unstable security situation due to the conflict that has not really ended with North Korea. Therefore, the South Korean government implements a compulsory military service policy for all men between the ages of 18 and 28. This policy applies not only to ordinary citizens but also to public figures, including artists, athletes, and public figures. Conscription policy in South Korea stipulates that every healthy male is required to serve between 18 and 21 months, depending on the branch of the military chosen, the Army, Navy, Air Force, or special units such as the military police. The basic training process usually lasts 5 weeks at the training camp center, before the soldier is transferred to the respective unit. Cha Eun-woo, a top artist widely known as both an actor and a member of the idol group Astro, became one of the public figures who recently started his military service. The presence of celebrities in the draft often attracts public attention because it creates its own dynamics in the training camp. On the one hand, they are ordinary soldiers who should be treated the same as the rest of the participants. However, on the other hand, their status as public figures makes their existence often in the spotlight, both from the media and fellow soldiers. In this context, the case of alleged bullying against Cha Eun-woo by an instructor raises great concern. The case comes not only because it involves a popular celebrity, but also because it shakes the basic principles of the military that emphasize discipline, hierarchy, and protection of soldiers. The importance of training camps in the draft system. The training camp is the most crucial phase in the conscription period. This is where the conscript participants are forged to understand the basics of discipline, physical training, military skills, as well as character building as part of the armed forces. This phase is designed to form a tough mental, physical prime and high loyalty to the country. The instructor has a vital role in this whole process. They are not only teachers, but also guides, role models, and authority figures for the participants. The relationship between instructors and participants should be based on mutual respect and trust. However, when the instructor abuses his authority to carry out bullying, the system that is supposed to protect actually turns into a source of threat. Cases of bullying in the Korean military. Bullying in the military environment is not a new issue in South Korea. Over the past 2 decades, the public has been shocked several times by similar cases that led to psychological trauma, to the tragedy of loss of life. The South Korean government has repeatedly stated its commitment to eradicate the culture of violence and bullying within the military. However, the case involving Cha Eun-woo shows that this kind of practice still has potential. In this case, what makes it even more surprising is the fact that the bully is not a fellow participant, but an instructor. That is, individuals who are supposed to guard, train, and set an example act exactly the opposite. This situation raises major questions about the surveillance mechanisms inside the training camps and the extent to which the military system is able to detect and prevent abuse of authority. Public spotlight and challenges for the military. When this news came out, the public spotlight was not only on Cha Eun-woo as a victim, but also on the military institution itself. Many see the case as a test of the transparency and credibility of the South Korean military. How these institutions handle such cases will determine the level of public confidence in their commitment to eradicating bullying. For Cha Eun-woo, the case clearly puts double the pressure. On the one hand, he is facing a major transition from life as an artist to life as a soldier. On the other hand, he has to deal with the harsh reality of bullying from authority figures. This can have an impact not only on his psychological state, but also on the public perception of conscription in general. Cha Eun-woo, born with the real name Lee Dong-min on March 30, 1997, is known as one of South Korea's multi-talented artists. He began his career as an actor before debuting as a member of the boy group Astro under Fantajo. His popularity increased rapidly thanks to his handsome face, acting talent, singing ability, as well as a clean and professional public image. In the Korean entertainment industry, Cha Eun-woo is often dubbed the face genius because of his supposedly perfect visuals. However, behind his glamorous appearance, he is known to be disciplined, humble, and has a positive image that is rarely tarnished by controversy. This reputation made his decision to serve in the military come under tremendous scrutiny from the public. Point 2. Announcement of conscription in 2025. Fantajo announced that Cha Eun-woo would begin his mandatory military service on July 28, 2025. The decision was conveyed in a respectful and appreciative tone to the fans who have supported Eun-woo over the years. This news provoked various reactions. Many fans felt lost because they had to wait about 2 years for the idol to return. However, most gave their full support, realizing that conscription was an obligation that every South Korean man could not avoid. Point 3. Status as a military soldier. After entering the training camp, Cha Eun-woo's status changes completely, from a top artist to a new soldier who is on an equal footing with the other participants. In the eyes of the military, there is no difference between celebrities and ordinary citizens. Each soldier is required to undergo the same discipline, the same physical training, as well as the same rules. For a public figure, this adaptation process is not easy. They had to strip off their celebrity status, adjust to the harsh environment of the military, and blend in with other participants. This is what makes the journey of celebrity conscripts often the subject of media coverage. Point 4. Public expectations and pressure. Cha Eun-woo's entry into the military brings great expectations. Many hope he can set an example for the younger generation, showing how a celebrity can still carry out his duties as a citizen. However, on the other hand, his status also made him vulnerable to excessive scrutiny, both from fellow soldiers and instructors. In Korean military history, celebrities often face unique dilemmas. They are trying to show that they are not looking for preferential treatment. However, their popularity often triggers jealousy or unfair attitudes. This situation often increases the risk of bullying, both subtle, ostracism, exclusion, and overt. For Cha Eun-woo, the risk is evident when a case of alleged bullying from an instructor begins to unfold. Point 5. Social role. As a public figure, Cha Eun-woo is not just an ordinary celebrity. He is a figure who has great influence, not only in South Korea but also globally. With millions of followers on social media and an international fan base, every step he takes is always in the spotlight. Therefore, his social role during conscription becomes greater than that of other servicemen. His actions, speech, and experiences can shape people's perception of the military as a whole. When a public figure experiences bullying within the military system, the impact is not only felt personally, but also shakes the image of the military institution. Point 6. Adaptation in the military environment. Internal sources reported that at the beginning of the training period, Cha Eun-woo showed a high discipline attitude and tried to adjust quickly. He followed the schedule of physical training, marching, and daily rules like other soldiers. However, due to his public status, he could not completely avoid excessive attention. Some fellow soldiers reported feeling both awe and awkwardness, while others were curious or even envious. In this situation, the presence of an instructor as an intermediary is very important. Unfortunately, it was precisely one of the instructors who had the authority that proved to be abusing his position. Point 7. Case symbolism. Cha Eun-woo's profile as a victim of bullying in the military became an important symbol. He is not simply an individual who experiences injustice, but rather a representation of the systemic problems that many other soldiers who do not have the media spotlight may experience. If a public figure of Cha Eun-woo's caliber can become a victim of bullying, what about ordinary soldiers who don't have access to public attention? This question is what makes this case receive great attention, both from local and international media.